Today's episode of the Dark Paranormal is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it. So your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Companies and affiliates' potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Well, the holidays are almost here, and if you still have names on your list, don't panic, because Uncommon Goods makes holiday shopping stress-free and joyful. They have thousands of one-of-a-kind gifts you literally won't find anywhere else. And you'll find those presents that say, I know you, I know what you like, I know what you love. And the chances of you giving someone a present they already have are exceptionally small. There is an artistry set that I've just bought for my little niece, and I know it's a one-of-a-kind and she will adore it. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the US. Many are crafted by independent artists and small businesses. So when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting those artists, those small businesses, and every purchase is a chance to choose something remarkable and feel good about where your money goes. Because with every purchase you make with Uncommon Goods, they give back $1 to a non-profit partner of your choice, donating more than $3.1 million to date. And they have something for everyone: mums, dads, kids, teens, book lovers, gardeners, mixologists, you name it. So don't wait. Make this holiday the year you give something truly unforgettable. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/darkparanormal. That's uncommongoods.com/darkparanormal for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods. We're all out of the ordinary. So you've experienced the paranormal before. Sleep paralysis, maybe even a tulpa. But your experience passes. You even submitted to the show. You got through it. Somehow. So, months later, during an afternoon nap in monsoon season, when fingernails stroke your back, what would you do? What if those nails seem to sharpen, and next this invisible hand starts violently tearing into your back? What would you do? Because that's the question facing the submitter of today's experience for the Dark Paranormal.
Live from Liverpool, the Dark Paranormal, Season 22.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the second half of Season 22. Yes, it's episode 6 already. We are on the downward slope towards our finale of Season 22, and we begin our second half of the season, as you may have heard in the intro, with one of our previous experiences, who has took me up on the offer I often give when we get an experience. If you have any further occurrences, please do let us know. Well, it's very rare that somebody does that, but that's exactly what today's experiencer has done. And today's experience is one of those where you may not be expecting jump scares, etc., but if you really truly visualize exactly what they're saying, you will see just how terrifying this experience is. Their first experience we covered in Season 19 with the episode Tinker Tailor Tulpa Why, which they sent to us after believing they'd got through their paranormal experiences. This episode proves not only were they not that lucky, but also why I do say to people, if you have any further experiences, do let us know. And I'm so glad that today's experiencer did. But of course, before we get to today's experience, or should I say follow-up experience, we need to say a huge thank you to our wonderful team over at Patreon. Our Patreon community literally keep this show going. They shape it, they form it. It's there where the suggestions are had to ensure the show stays fluid and make those changes that ensure you get the best experience possible. And yes, I'll repeat myself because it bears repeating. It's the most welcoming and open-minded of any paranormal group online I've ever encountered. And you can try it for yourself for free for 1 whole week by clicking in the link in the show notes. It's a week free trial of all of our tiers, including the top tier, so you can gain full access to the 160 plus hours of back catalogue of Dark Bites episodes, early ad-free releases, and of course the additional perks we'll be adding this month. Now, as a standard, we all know podcasters during this time of year are littered with adverts. Every podcaster with a decent-sized audience has what we call 100% fill rate during this time, meaning every show you listen to will be inundated with ads. Our lowest level gives you ad-free access to the Dark Paranormal and everything on the main feed. And even if you just sign up between now and the end of January, say, you should miss out on the bulk of the main period of the year where adverts really take effect. So maybe skip a high street coffee once a month to get ad-free access to Dark Realms, Dark Minisodes, and the Dark Paranormal. Either click the link in the show notes below or go direct to patreon.com/The Dark Paranormal. Well, it was season 19 when Amrutha gave us her experience in the episode Tinker Tailor Tulpa Why. And now, in season 22, she writes back with arguably one of the most layered and atmospheric hauntings we've covered in the whole season. So please, lower the lights, make yourself comfortable, and of course, leave your disbelief at the door, as we hear all about a demonic return. Hello Kevin, it's Amrutha. I sent you my experience for the season 19 episode Tinker Tailor Tulpa Spy. To bring you up to speed, my husband and I moved out of that house that I believed was, well, less than ordinary. We're now living in his ancestral home along with his father. His mother, for context, stays at her daughter's to help with her newborn. I'd like to start by saying that I've been a faithful listener of the Dark Paranormal for over 12 months, and I truly cannot thank you enough for the show. I don't hold you or the episode in any way responsible for what I'm about to share, and I assure you there's not even the slightest trace of bitterness, only gratitude. That being said, I initially only listened to the show during my daily commute. But starting in June 2025, I made the questionable decision to tune in right before bed. My little nighttime lullaby. Turn down the lights, make yourself comfortable, etc. See, I am an obedient listener. Okay, that's cringe, but moving on. At first, nothing happened. And honestly, after listening for so long without incident, I didn't think anything would. But around the second week of July, things changed. Not with loud bangs, nightmares, or flying objects, but smaller, subtler, and far more unsettling things. The kind that feels personal, intimate. I apologize in advance for the length of this email, but I really wanted to include all of the details. We live on the ground floor of a 2-story bungalow with 5 entrances. The layout is a bit strange, but I don't really want to get into the details since that will deviate from the topic. And honestly, rereading that paragraph made me realize you probably wouldn't want to listen to it either. Just know the house is a spread-out foundation and yet somehow compact, meaning moving from one room to another is very quick. You turn a corner and you're most probably standing with 1 foot each in a different room's area, if that makes sense. A small piece of backstory about the house. It was originally built by my husband's great-grandfather on a piece of disputed government land that was gifted to him in recognition of his loyal years. The house was then passed down to his only son, who later divided it between his 2 sons, my father-in-law and his brother, who now lives on the 2nd level. The grandfather suffered from severe Alzheimer's and dementia in his final years. For nearly a decade, he would wander the streets for up to weeks unless a search party brought him back. Sadly, he stopped eating properly and slowly regressed into a childlike state, needing round-the-clock care. One tragic winter morning, while the rest of the house was busy with daily chores, he managed to slip out of the house, barefoot and barely clothed, and he disappeared for a whole month. He was eventually found, dead, near a statue at a junction about 8 kilometers away. Despite his illness, he remained deeply attached to the home. Even during his decline, he would try to help clean or maintain it, almost like the house itself was his anchor to reality. Now, even though this was well into the months of when the activities had started, I wanted to start off particularly with this event because this experience marked the day it dawned on me, oh my God, it started again. And only after this incident, when I retraced my days and all the oh well stuff that I'd ignored, did it all start to feel a bit more eerie? This was, and still is, the only sleep paralysis episode I've had this entire year. I found it almost impossible to put into words because, to describe it, I'd have to revisit those moments. And in all honesty, it's the most confusing experience I've ever had. I couldn't even try to make sense of it if I wanted to. But here we go. It was one monsoon afternoon. Gloomy, breezy, cool. In India, the weather turns like this. We usually sleep out on the terrace or stretch out on the hall floor to enjoy it. That day, my husband and I did just that. We laid out our korai pie with just our pillows and a thin bedsheet for a blanket to drift off to sleep. Somewhere mid-slumber, I felt something disturb me, like fingers gliding through my hair, then down the nape of my neck, then further along my back like a loving hand gently stroking me. I assumed it was my husband, and I even began to enjoy it. But then the sensation changed. Nails began to lightly scratch me, not painful, but oddly sharp. I remember thinking, wow, he really needs to trim those claws. And then it happened. Those nails started digging in, clawing into my skin. The strokes turned rough, violent even. My back began to burn. I tried to turn my head or even just open my eyes, but I couldn't move. I was stuck. Wriggling, shaking, even grinding my teeth didn't work. I was completely paralyzed. Then I hear a sound. It was the tapping of claws coming from directly in front of me. It sounded like a dog scratching a tile, trying to dig into it. Laying on my belly, I focused everything on my neck and somehow jerked my head upwards. My eyes shot open, but my body was still frozen. And that's when I saw her. A woman I didn't recognize, lying prone, maybe 10 feet in front of me. Believe me when I say my hall isn't even that long to have 10 foot of space. Her horizontal body had limbs folded at an unnatural angle that made her hover just above the ground. She looked human, alive, bright black eyes, skin a healthy brown, but she was wrong, all wrong. At first, she just stared at me. Slowly, her face shifted into a sadistic smile. Then she began crawling towards me. I squeezed my eyes shut, buried my face into the pillow, gasping for air. My body began twitching with every scratch, and I knew I was regaining control. Moments later, I snapped out of the paralysis, bolting upright, and realized that I was still in my sleeping position with my eyes shut. My eyes were not actually open, and my head wasn't ever up. My back still stung as I ran to the bathroom to check, but thankfully there were no marks. But my skin felt hot to the touch, like a fever centered on just that area. That was the wake-up call. That was the moment I stopped brushing things off. I began retracing all the strange moments I'd ignored, pushed aside, excused, and here we are. Our bedroom windows are frosted, which means you can only see a blur of what is on the other side. One day, after switching off the bedroom light, I caught a glimpse of a figure standing outside, trying to peek in. It disappeared as soon as it realized I had noticed it. I even saw the faint blobs of its fingerprints pressed against the glass. I ran to the back door to catch whoever it was, but there was no one there. We didn't have any workers at the house. My father-in-law was out for his evening walk, and my husband was in the kitchen preparing tea and biscuits, so it couldn't have been any of them. Another odd thing. I don't usually feel that typical fear of running up the stairs or to the bedroom after turning off the lights. In fact, I actually enjoy sitting in complete darkness and turning down my screens. I'm sensitive to bright lights. But sometimes, when I turn off the lights in my bedroom and I go to leave, a sudden jolt of fear creeps in. I become acutely aware of everything around me, and I can't help but run out, constantly glancing over my shoulder, as if something or someone might reach out and drag me back in. That primal instinct never happens in any other room of the house, only the bedroom. This particular time, though, Kevin, took me straight back to a particular minisode from long ago. I don't really remember if it was even a minisode or maybe even another podcast, but it was about someone who was at work or was in the middle of work, someone who repaired things, something like that. He particularly mentioned an instance when he felt as if there was someone peeking over his shoulder to see what he was doing. I had a very similar, if not the exact same thing, happen to me. I was in the hall, all alone, reading my novel, and I felt breathing. A slow, low, deep inhale, then exhale. And then I felt a head lean over my shoulder, its chin pressing down on my shoulder blade as if resting its own head. I froze rigid for a full minute before slowly edging away to get up and leave, and I swear on everything sacred, I felt that chin slide away in the opposite direction. I had to go outside and spend a good 10 minutes on the veranda before I could calm down. I think I gaslit myself thinking, oh, did my muscle twitch or something? Maybe it was a twitch. But I quickly realized this was very close to something I'd heard before. I even tried my best to search for it on Patreon so I could validate myself, but I couldn't find it. My husband is usually the one making breakfast whilst I bathe, and after 3 years of marriage, it's become normal for him to barge into the bathroom, swing the door open with zero regard for privacy, and stand there waiting for me to turn and respond with a "what?" before he asks a question. One time, while I had shampoo running down my face and couldn't open my eyes, I had the familiar barging in presence and the unmistakable sense of someone standing at the door. You know that feeling, when you just know someone is in the room with you even if you can't see them. The air felt different, like the light had shifted oddly. as though something was blocking it out. I said, "Yes," assuming it to be my husband, but there was no response. "Tell me I can't open my eyes right now," I added, hoping to hear his usual silly question. But the silence remained. Then the air grew heavier. My heart started pounding from a wave of unease. The water ran cold, but I could feel sweat beading at my hairline. I quickly rinsed my face, turned sharply towards the door, still rubbing my eyes, and snapped, "What is it, Bubba? Can't you just tell me?" Only to find no one there, the bathroom door wide open. Wrapping myself in a towel, I stormed out to ask what he wanted. But with a totally confused look on his face, he told me he'd been nowhere near the bathroom.
Personally, I can find it really hard to focus, and as a non-drinker, I can also find it tricky to try and wind down. And how you go about finding your personal vibe is your individual choice. Do you know there's a 100% American farm-grown online cannabis company that ships federally legal THC direct to your door? And they found a way to combine THC with carefully selected functional ingredients so they can target nearly every mood and health concern you can think of. I'm talking about Mood.com's incredible line of functional gummies. And our listeners get 20% off their first order at Mood.com with the promo code Dark Paranormal. Forget one-size-fits-all supplements that just get you high. Mood gummies are optimized so it can take as little as 15 minutes to take you to the mood you desire, like the Mind Magic gummies for creativity and focus, or PMS support to ease cramps and balance mood swings. And there's a plethora of other gummies for you to find your perfect mood. These days we all know gummies just to get high can be bought from just about anywhere, but Mood have changed the game by combining premium federally legal THC with targeted botanicals to help you get in the perfect mood in as little as 15 minutes with no dispensary lines or no awkward conversations, just better days and nights delivered discreetly to your door. Best of all, not only is every mood product backed by a 100-day satisfaction guarantee, as mentioned, our listeners can get 20% off their first order by entering the promo code Dark Paranormal. So go to Mood.com and find the functional gummy that matches exactly what you're looking for, and let Mood find your perfect mood. And don't forget to enter the promo code Dark Paranormal for 20% off.
Does anyone really know what hormones do? There's so much talk about women's hormonal health, but most women are left even more confused about what it means for them and what to do about it. Let's leave that confusion behind as we head into the holiday season. Hormone Harmony is a game changer for women struggling with hormonal imbalances that leave them exhausted both physically and mentally. It only contains science-based ingredients that bring back comfort, energy, clarity, confidence, and a sense of balance. Perfect for enjoying the holidays and heading into the new year energized. You've heard me talk about them before, and Happy Mammoth, the company behind this phenomenal formula, has helped over 2.4 million women get their lives back and feel like themselves again after years or even decades of hormonal imbalances. The company surveyed 1,831 women to see how Hormone Harmony helped them, and the results are mind-blowing. 86% of women started losing weight, 77% say it improved their mood, and 100% say they feel like themselves again. Hormone Harmony has over 50,000 raving reviews from women all over the world, with 98% of them saying they gladly recommend it to friends and family. This holiday season, give yourself or the women in your life the gift of wellness, because for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use the code DARKParanormal at checkout. Yes, the holidays is indeed a time to put smiles on other people's faces, but what about putting a nice relaxed one on yours? Prioritize your rest, your comfort, and your connection with the holiday season with Avocado Green Mattress. Avocado products transform your home into a peaceful, grounding retreat made with certified organic and sustainably sourced materials. From breathable bedding to handcrafted mattresses, Avocado is all about true comfort, so you can rest, recharge, and wake up refreshed all season long. And every product is thoughtfully made with both you and the planet in mind, so you can feel good about the comfort and quality you're bringing to your home. Dream of better, better for you, better for the planet. And with easy financing options with a firm to make your purchase more accessible, you can prioritize rest and recharge with Avocado's organic comfort. Head to avocadogreenmattress.com today to create your natural oasis and save big during their holiday sale. Avocado. Dream of better. Frequently, whilst in a deep sleep, I've woken up, annoyed and agitated, reaching out for my husband with a, yes, I'm awake, what is it? Like he'd been trying to wake me up for an emergency. I say emergency because I wake up with a certain level of panic and urgency in my voice, just to realise he wasn't even home. I've also been jerked awake multiple times, as if someone had grabbed my shoulder and physically shook me. My husband also mentioned that on many nights, he's woken up to me whimpering in my sleep, or having an inaudible conversation with someone whilst being completely drenched in sweat. You need to understand that it's impossible for me to sweat at night because this being India with a tropical climate and all, we run the AC all night at 20 degrees. He also claims that I've woken up, tapped him on the shoulder, disturbed him, and then fallen back to sleep within seconds. You know how arguments with someone you love can hang heavy in the air? Well, this was one of those evenings. My husband and I had had a spat. Nothing earth-shattering, just one of those tension-filled disagreements. One that lingers long after the last word is said. So he stayed in the back in the living room, watching TV, and I went to bed alone. It was one of those restless nights. I tossed, turned, stared at the ceiling. Hours passed. I don't remember when exactly, maybe around 1 or 2 a.m. But I remember catching a faint glow in the room. A soft, bluish glow. The kind of light you'd see when someone is scrolling through their phone under a blanket, maybe. Turning towards my husband's side of the bed, I noticed a clear figure of the blanket pulled over one's head, giving a roundish shape with a rectangle-shaped light inside. I turned over, half annoyed, half relieved. So he finally came to bed, I thought. I could even feel the soft tug of the sheets, like someone adjusting themselves under the covers. I was comforted in a strange way, and I drifted back to sleep. The next evening, after we'd made up and everything felt lighter, I teased him as we were getting into bed. "I hope you won't be up as late as last night," I said. He looked at me, confused. "What do you mean?" I smirked. "I saw you. I was still awake. I saw you scrolling through your phone under the blanket, maybe 1 a.m. Not a great time to be doom scrolling, yeah?" He didn't laugh it off. He looked genuinely puzzled. "Scrolling through my Babe, I never came to bed last night." I froze. "Wait, what?" "I was up late," he said, "so I crashed out on the couch. I didn't want to creak the door or wake you. I never came into the room." I stared at him, waiting for a wink or some sign, pleased that he was joking. "You're messing with me, right? I saw you. You pulled the blanket," I squeaked. He slowly shook his head. "I swear to you, I wasn't there." He apologized again for staying up, but he didn't mean to worry me and change the subject. But something shifted in me that night, because I know what I saw, or thought I saw. And ever since then, I've asked myself, if it wasn't him in my bed, who was it? Many times my husband has come rushing into the hall or kitchen, saying he's heard his mother call for him. He's very sure it's her, saying it sounds exactly like her voice, and always from just a few feet away. Remember the context I mentioned at the beginning, that his mum doesn't live with us? Yeah. My father-in-law and I have a little habit of greeting each other with a salute and a good morning, him being a government official and all. It's part of our routine. One morning, while I was still brushing my teeth and my husband was in the hall watching his Premier League highlights, he saw his dad walk past the kitchen, still drowsy, sign a salute, say good morning, and walk out the main door. When my husband asked who the greeting was for, he said it was for me, that he thought I was in there making coffee. Another night, around 2 a.m, I turned away from my husband to face the wall on my side of the bed. The wall's maybe 3.5 feet away, and the room was faintly lit by the AC's display, casting a yellowish glow that filled my field of vision with a strange kind of static-like image, like the fuzz on an old tube TV. I could still make out the shapes of the furniture, but only as vague outlines flickering behind the constant movement of this static. As I shifted, still half asleep, I briefly opened my eyes and I immediately noticed a pair of legs stood against the back wall. They were so thin, almost like a rung from a rustic wooden ladder. I squinted, I blinked hard to clear my vision, but the ceiling fan kept drying out my eyes, forcing me to blink rapidly. Each time I managed to focus and confirm the figure's location, my eyes would betray me with another involuntary blink and the figure would seem to vanish. Despite this struggle, I managed to trace the shape with my eyes as it extended up the wall, bent around the corner of the ceiling, and continued across the roof, stopping directly above me in a distorted oval I could only assume was a head. It looked like wall skirting. A chill crept through my spine, and my legs stiffened, ready for flight. Desperate not to lose sight of it, I fumbled for my phone, but my fingers kept hitting the bed frame instead. Finally, I gave up, turned around, dug under my pillow for my phone, and quickly aimed the flashlight at the ceiling. As soon as the ceiling lit up, I saw a shadow dart by, and just like that, the figure was gone. I scanned the entire room, but there was nothing. Still shaking, I scooted closer to my husband and somehow drifted back to sleep. Another peculiar thing that started to happen way back before all of this was in May, during my episode binge era. On random episodes of the Dark Paranormal, once the introductions are over and I reach my third sentence into your story, your voice, Kevin, abruptly halts, followed by a 10-second pause, and then rewinds to the beginning. For anyone curious, I listen to the show on Spotify and usually go through one episode or 1.5 minisodes per commute. In conjunction with this, while riding, I sometimes feel a sudden added-on weight on my scooter, mid-ride, as if an adult pillion rider was now sitting next to me. It is a very distinct change, and I am bound to notice because, for one, I feel a light cupping touch of thighs on the sides of my thighs and a closeness, as it would be as if someone had sat behind me. And two, as I have very minimal experience with double rides, there's a great deal of difficulty with maintaining balance, even though as a lone rider, I hit the gas mad crazy. This extra weight stays on for about 2 to 3 kilometers and then lifts off. My mother's death anniversary falls on the 12th of November. Every year, like clockwork, we prepare for the Shraddha, also known as the Varshraddha. It's a ritual performed on the exact date a person passed, to honour them, nourish their soul in the afterlife, and maintain peace between the living and the dead. This time was different. It was the first time the ceremony itself was being held in this house, which it was never done for the deceased grandfather. As the ritual itself involves offering food and chanting mantras, I spent most of the morning in the kitchen with one of the priest's assistants, making sure the food remained ritually clean. I could almost hear my childhood echo in my head. Don't smell the flowers before they're offered. Don't light the daya without bathing. Don't taste or even smell the offerings before the gods have received them. The day went by without incident, but something shifted that evening. The house changed. It grew inexplicably gloomy. The air grew heavy, sticky, with a strange humidity. 4 days later, the priest called. He asked my husband a question so precise, it chilled me to the bone. Have you performed this ceremony before, or was this the first time? We had never told him this. No one had. And yet, somehow, he knew. He went on to explain, performing a shraddha for a younger soul without first honouring the elder one can cause unrest, disruption, even disturbances in the space where it was performed. He urged us to do the ritual again, this time for the grandfather. But my husband, ever the skeptic, brushed it off, saying the priest was looking to extract more money out of us. But me? Well, if I wasn't so sure about not being alone in that house before that day, I'm almost certain we ain't alone now. A lot of these occurrences still happen to this day. But the fear, interestingly, that's long gone. Now, whenever something odd happens, I think, there it goes again, and I carry on. But here's the thing, Kev. This time, I'm curious. I want to see it. Not just as a shadow or something that flickers past the corner of my eye, but clearly, head on, plain as day. I want to know what it really is. Now, I know that might sound, this is toxic, you're getting too obsessed, it's unhealthy, and whatnot. Sure, I work, I listen to the show, I work out, I listen to the show, I do anything alone and I'm listening to the show. And I hear all those warning bells in my own head too. But honestly, I'm okay with it. Call it whatever you want. And to add salt to the wound, I fed these instances into ChatGPT, considering everyone turns to AI now, and I was completely mocked with a bunch of medical words thrown at me, such as hypnagogic hallucinations, hypnopompic misattribution of stimuli, expectation bias, and basically telling me to get my brain checked out. Lol. It's as if you slap the word hallucination on anything and it's all sorted. I mean, what even is felt presence? The word itself screams unnatural. How do you just imagine a feeling and hallucinate it? And it's funny how these occurrences always start when I decide to take a peek at the darkness and stop when I look the other way. Almost like a mockery. You scared, yeah? Good. Don't do it again. That kind of thing. And as long as it's not harming anyone else, which it hasn't, I'll keep looking in. Wave maybe. Turn on a flashlight even. Motivated by the very educational insight on the other side from the episode A Lantern for the Dead. And I'm sincerely sorry if this all sounds cocky, because I'm not. This is pure, unadulterated interest and curiosity. So thanks, Kev. I'm from India, as you know, Amrutha. Well, Amrutha, genuinely, thank you for giving us one of the most cerebral, if not the most cerebral episode we've covered in a long, long time. And I commend you for your outlook towards the supernatural that you state at the end. I cannot say I'm completely comfortable with it, if I'm being perfectly honest, because I also do believe the old, when you look in, don't be surprised when something looks back routine that you seem to be experiencing. And there are several wonderful visual experiences described within your email. But one of the first things that jumped out is, and I won't be alone in noticing this, there seems to have been a raft of emails come in from India over the last few weeks, which is a phenomenal thing because I do love experiences from other cultures. But it's a very strange grouping, and it makes me think of the theory of seriality, an idea posited years ago by Paul Camera. One of his passions was collecting coincidences, and his book Das Gesetz der Serie, or The Law of Series, translated into English as The Law of Seriality, posits that all events are connected by waves of what he terms seriality, unknown forces that peak and trough as groupings and coincidences. From Wikipedia, it states he was known, for example, for making notes in public parks of the numbers of people who were passing, noting, for example, how many carried umbrellas. Albert Einstein even called the idea of seriality interesting and by no means absurd. Carl Jung drew on Camera's work in his essay Synchronicity. Arthur Koestler reported when he was doing research for his biography on Camera, he was subjected to a meteor shower of coincidences, as if Camera's ghost were grinning down at him, saying, "I told you so." And this seriality is something that I've noted myself, and you can try it too. It's a very bizarre phenomena that you can easily fall into a rabbit hole with. Stand at a traffic light and take a look around. If the cars at the lights are, say, grey and black, say to yourself, "I haven't seen a red car." And wait. And what you will probably notice is no red cars, and then 5, 6, or 7 clumped together in a series. And this isn't just in cars or people carrying umbrellas or emails from India. This is over big numbers too. Roulette wheels, for example. Coin tosses. We think of coin tosses as a 50-50 outcome, but when you look at a list of the results, you will find long clumps of heads, long clumps of tails. Over a long period of time, yes, it will come out as 50-50, but there are these groups of series. The idea, and also accusations in other areas of his life, drove him to suicide at the age of 46. So is this recent influx of Indian emails part of a series? We don't know. We will never know. But one interesting thing you do mention, which for me, as you guys know, I like to see validators within stories. You mention at the very start, during your nap during the monsoon season, when you had the scratching down your back, an episode which almost describes the episode I had when I experienced my one and only astral projection. When you state you bolted upright and then almost instantly you were laying back and you hadn't moved. That's exactly the description I give when I describe my one and only attempt to astrally project. I sat up in bed, immediately thought, I can still feel my back on the mattress, but as I got halfway through that sentence in my mind, I was lying back on my mattress, completely paralyzed. So, Amrutha, the image you give of the woman laying horizontally and floating, staring at you, smiling, and then crawling towards you is the one thing from this episode that has haunted me, and I do mean haunted me ever since reading it. So thank you so much for such a wonderful email, and also I have sincere admiration, albeit cautious admiration, for your outlook on the supernatural that you place at the end of the email, and I wish you nothing but the best. And as always, if the best doesn't end up being good, do indeed let us know, and please be careful. And people may well listen to that and think it irresponsible of me to not try and stop Amrutha from doing what she's doing in terms of trying to delve into a darkness she doesn't understand. But we also need to understand Amrutha is a grown woman who's made up her own mind. I'm not here to change minds. And in fact, the very premise of this podcast is to look at the darkness that people state does not exist within the world of the paranormal. So whatever you do, Amrutha, the only thing I will say is take care, seek advice, and don't do anything that would jeopardize your health. And also, once again, Amrutha, thank you so much for your experience, which sends us into the second half of season 22 with one of the most layered and atmospheric experiences I do think we'll cover. Don't forget, everyone, this is a fluid show. Your experience could still end up on this series of the Dark Paranormal, although we have our episodes filled in. So if you have your own experience, please visit the website, thedarkparanormal.com, click Submit My Experience, or click the link in the show notes. I can't wait to hear from you. And until next week, please, everyone, stay safe and take care.